Are we live or are we Memex? Let's talk about some stuff, shall we? There's the Dale. See if anybody comes in here. I don't know what my signal's gonna be like. Oh, let's see here. There's that. We'll do some shout outs here and then we'll start talking about some stuff. Echo. Oh wow, we got some people in here. Holy crap. Rick LP, what's up? Nittany Lion, Jose, we are buffering a little bit, so we'll be okay. Gary Compton, Roy Merritt, Gary Santar Siri, Cubby, Bruno, Big Country, Pigtail, Provost, Big Road Little Truck, Pale Rider TV, Kimberly Wall, Charles Prant. Didn't I just see over in the coach? Yeah, I did. It's kind of what triggered this video here. Kevin and Ollie is not first. Anthony Blackbeard, Echo, Joseph Courier, Daniel Adami, Trucker Jukebox. Doing all right, Trucker Jukebox. How are you? Gear Grabber, what's up? Did you watch that movie I told you that? Gear Grabber? Overtaxed Minnesota. So, I think, everybody's talking about rates and strategies and brokers and how we need to do this and they need to do that, and too many people are doing this, too many people are doing that. And I think one of the hardest things to do, especially as a truck driver, is to not make business decisions based off emotion. Not to invest money based off an emotional response. For example, excuse me. For example, if you're the kind of person that loves to bake, and you sit there and you think, you know what, it'd be nice to kind of start a bakery, right? Is that necessarily the best decision you can make business-wise? Let's say you need that new car, serve that new car. That's an emotional decision. And in our world, it happens. You get frustrated with the low boards. You get frustrated with your carrier. You get frustrated with the government or, the DOT or whatever. Make a really bad decision based off emotion. And trust me, we've all been there. We've all done it. It's Texas. And I had already had Schneider orientation date set. And because when you're getting ready to leave a carrier, you become frustrated with every little thing. Things that you used to put up with, but now that they just get magnified, right? And I remember seeing the low board. Stuff was leaving Laredo for $1.30. That was the best thing I could get. And I just put it in gear and went home. 640 miles. Then I was done for the rest of the month. Now, had I been thinking clearly, I might have at least pulled something for fuel money. Maybe still tried to do a load or two here and there, but there's also a lot going on at home, so that's kind of that helped. That helped, and it didn't help. It helped me establish the fact that I needed to do something, but it was emotional response, and that's a good feeling. When you work for a carrier and you're self-dispatch, when you want to put it in gear, you can, right? You're not dependent on them for anything as far as like loads or, can I go home? That kind of thing, right? Your freedom is based have the less freedom you have. So, but I think that the whole purpose of this live feed, besides, pay attention to me, I'm a narcissist, besides that element, and to kind of deal with boredom, right? Is that a lot of us make decisions based off emotional responses. And that can make or break a business. It really can. So I think that one of the most important things that's never talked about is how to develop emotional strength out here. When I was a trainer, we focused on the driving aspect, but then every now and then I get a good student that was a good driver. And so I, over the weeks, I would like kind of point out some of the changes that they're, if they're a new CDL holder, I'm going to point out the changes that occur in your family and the things that we deal with out here. And we're basically treated like a second class citizen. If your expectations are way up here, you're going to be disappointed with a lot of things. And you truly have to find the good in everything, to make this job a lot more tolerable than what, I don't know, a lot more tolerable. And I think that the more freedom you have, the more control you have, I think that definitely helps the everyday frustration levels that we deal with. I think that in order to get to that point, you have to have a certain amount of emotional stability in order to make those good business decisions, in order to keep an eye on your business, in order to really be in control. I mean, think about this. If you're not in control of your emotions, you're not going to be in control of yourself. And therefore you're going to lose control of everything else. So let's see here. We got some more people in here. Get a Wilson cell booster. I'm going to try to go live tomorrow, says Daniel Adami. Juan says start over. No. I'm the only one doing it, man, and not everyone else. It's because of my neck being 17 inches, so I was at that threshold. Daniel Adami, he's going to do a sleep study. What a lot of people don't realize is when you go apply at a mega carrier, either company or owner op or lease op, a lot of and sleep apnea is one of them when it comes to Schneider. Their measurement for the neck is smaller, their thresholds are smaller, and they expect more. Like I said, they're stricter. So, Daniel, who's not, he's not like a big guy, is having to deal with a sleep study test. And what make a carrier is that a lot of their rules are their rules. Like, for example, Schneider doesn't let you do the 8-2 split on your e-logs. And there are times when that 8-2 split is the defining point whether you're going to make any money that week. And, granted, they make up for it by having all the drop and hook, but there were many times where, 8-2 would save the load, and of course you can't use it. Grafton is driving. Burger. Dan the Sandman, rest in peace. Southbound Jay, what's up? So I think that and here's what I'm talking about. So because of the different things that I dealt with on the low going to Dallas, I had to try to book at the last minute. Now, I will tell you this. Booking a load the day of in Dallas, Texas on a Monday. Some of you experienced veterans are saying, duh, but we all make mistakes, or we all think, well, we justify things. Again, there's an emotion. Well, I'm going to justify the fact that there's nothing else in the area. Dallas is my only option, right? And I regretted it. I regretted that situation. So I found something that picked up Tuesday, and it was a frustrating process. And when you have the freedom that we have here at Like Trucking, it would have been extremely easy to just head north, just blindly deadhead somewhere, right? I'm not dealing with these rates. I'm not dealing with these. I called like 5 different numbers, and no one was answering their phone. My NID didn't work with time, or it didn't work on the money, or both, or the stuff that did work for money was going to areas that were not much better, dead end areas. And since I don't really rely on the low boards as much as I used to, it was more frustrating. Pale Rider just released a video. But don't watch it until we're done here. Sorry, Pale Rider. And but I kept my cool. I kept calm. And I finally found something. It was the lesser of 4 evils, I guess. And then the next day while I was in the dock, we booked something else. And then that load fell apart as I'm heading to my delivery this morning. And what's interesting, it was a multi-stop pickup. And that was done through my normal broker. And we didn't have appointment time set, so I hadn't sent Jeff the Raycon yet, because I didn't really, I received one, but I was leery about the Raycon, or the appointment times, right? And the delivery appointment time for the load I was under still needed to be, scheduled, right? So we finally get that scheduled, but then we can't reschedule the first pickup. And it's funny, I joked about how I usually don't take multiple pickup loads, even if they pay better, because there's always something that goes wrong with them. Even at Schneider, there was a time where I had 3 pickups at Schneider. It was like the first 2 weeks I was there. And I went to the first customer, they put 4 pallets in. I went to the second customer, they filled the whole trailer up. So now I was calling Schneider going, there ain't no room in this trailer. Oh, it's only a couple of pallets. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We had to kind of push on the doors, and it's all double stacked, so it's not, there's no more room. They still paid me the same, even though I didn't have that third pickup. But there's always potential on the LTL stuff. Now, in multiple deliveries, it's a little bit easier, usually. But anyways, so now I literally have to do some cold calls from a loading dock. And I think it's just been one of those weeks, it's just been one of those weeks for a lot of us where the loads just seem to have a little bit more BS. We'll call the broker that I haven't used. But one time since I've been over here, and guess what? I was shocked. But tomorrow we're going to be forced to book from the dock again, because we just couldn't make anything work on the rate. I'm starting to hold a little bit more. I'm starting to say no a little bit more. I'm starting to hold my ground. We get a better rate. And so I've been a little bit more picky as far as rate goes, and I've been looking at areas outside of my comfort zone. So that combination can usually do some money. it's tough when you're frustrated and you're at the customer and you're parked off to the side trying to find, because here in Dallas, or they're in Dallas, there's not a truck stop on every corner. So the closest truck stop was like 3 miles, but it was full. And so I kind of wanted to know what I was going to do so I can know which direction that I needed to park at for the night. One of the advantages you Schneider guys have, you can just go to the yard, you're good to go. The spot market guys don't have that. So that adds to the frustration late. It's very hard to not be reactionary to that. It's very hard to not be frustrated with that. Trust me, I was frustrated. And there was a couple of times where I'm like, I had my hand on the key, getting ready to turn it and go, but I knew that in the end that would have been a bad monetary decision. Now, the deadhead for a load picking up where I've got a certain, like I know exactly where I need to go, that's a different story than just like picking a direction and hoping for the best. So, you know a place where I can park in Dallas? See Habits, what's up? Another. It's always good to have them hiding places, right, Natas? It's I used to have a couple that I kept on my GPS, but it was on my old GPS. And then one of them kind of caught on. It was the staging area of another customer. And they caught on. Like, do you have an appointment? I'm waiting for my dispatcher to get it to me. They're like, all right, but if you're not telling me what your appointment number is by a certain time, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm like, okay. And then I left. So, Easy and Sons, what's up? It's easy to be reactionary. It's easy to sit there and say, you know what? This sucks. I hate this. And then next thing you know, you're deadheading 600, 800 miles. And trust me, we've all done it. Now, sometimes, like there was a time where I booked like 3 loads in a row at Landstar, and the middle one canceled. And I looked and looked, and I couldn't find a load. And I actually deadheaded like 400 miles to not break that string of loads. That's a calculated decision. There's nothing wrong with that. Calculated decisions are great. I did not come to like trucking based off an emotional response. I did not come to like trucking thinking that I'm friends with Jeff. Yeah, that was not the deal. It was a calculated decision that could further my endeavors beyond the orange box, right? Thomas Wilson, what's up? All right, I took a screenshot of that, Natas. Thank you very much. I love these new phones, man. You just wave your hand like Jedi style. Boom. Screenshot. But anyways, I appreciate that, Natas. I'll be in the Keystone tomorrow, Burger, says Gear Grabber. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what, though, Gear Grabber? I had a load booked going to Pennsylvania, and just when he was getting ready to send the Raycon, something fell apart on it. So, but I have to go outside my box. I kind of plateaued on my revenue a little bit, and I want more. I want more money. And so I'm holding my ground a little bit, and I'm having to do some extra work. And part of the extra work is making more cold calls than what I used to do. You can park on the side street next to Tops, then that Lowe's in Dallas never has parking ever. That is so true, Natas. The pilot is just as bad, if not worse. GNC Family Trucking. Everybody go check out GNC Family Trucking. He did his first video. He's just Schneider IC. He wants to enter the YouTube universe for some reason. Probably because he thinks we're having all this fun. Which he's kind of right. So everybody go check him out. He put up his first video, and if you're interested in going to Schneider, you know, there's several good Schneider YouTubers. You got Steve Berger whenever he does a video. You got bigrigceo, and you've got GNC Family Trucking. So you won't park in that area. I don't even know where that is. I just, you know, but I think that by me working on I'm making more sound decisions. You guys have probably, and what I, you know, the direction that I try. I'm not a business expert, but if you can figure out things in your head and make calculated, good decisions, it definitely makes this a lot easier. Out there off of 20 in Dallas. Okay. Society, hey there, Store Lord. I hope you're doing all right tonight. I'm doing all right, Society. XTV. It's. I had a friend of mine that said that, you know, when a car cuts you off, you have a decision to make. You have a decision whether to stew in that anger over the car cutting you off. You can decide to try to run it off the road or get right up next to them and kind of let it roll off your back and just know that that's just going to happen. That's a part of art. I think that if you do that, let it roll off your back, traffic jams won't be so stressful, right? I remember I had the team with a person over at Transland. It was like a special, you know, because, you know, Transland didn't have teams. And we had the same model truck, same age. He'd had more miles, and his brakes were like way more worn down. His tires were more down than mine. Very aggressive driver, very aggressive. Like, we get in traffic jams and, you know, and just like stressed out to the max. And I had to watch him do this in Dallas, and I had to watch him do this in Austin, because we were on our way to San Marcos. And I'm like, dude, your blood pressure is going to be too high. You know, it was just crazy. And I don't know, man. You do that for 10, 20 years, you know, and you wonder why everybody's health goes to crap, you know, when you react to stuff like that. Well, when you're running a business, you definitely can't have those kind of emotions, because you'll end up, I don't know, it just makes it worse. It makes it more stressful, you know. Didn't quit, Daniel. Just don't see the point making videos just to make my presence felt. Would rather make a video that has a purpose. Says, and Berger, when he finally does videos, he does good ones. He has some very good practical videos, whether you're a Schneider or not. He's got some stuff on mechanical things and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, that because, you know, we see it in the Facebook groups. You know, and I was listening to Coach's video, and there are people calling in telling how they tell off the brokers and how these people are pieces of crap and these people are pieces of crap, you know, and it's real easy to be angry at the brokers, because, you know, when you rely on them for all of your money, you know, it can be frustrating. And I found myself Monday getting frustrated with the brokers that didn't answer their phones. And I think I see a parody coming on looking for loads. See to get mad, but they're just doing the same thing you are. And if their rates are so ridiculous, like some guy talked about, this one broker had loads for 78 cents, you just politely hang up, because it's obvious that that person doesn't know what they're doing, and obvious that that broker has no idea how to run a business, and they will fail. And take solace in the fact that brokers that are trying to broker out 78-cent mile loads, they aren't going to last. They're not going to move that freight. And when they do, it's going to be with a rattle trap of somebody that's going to go out of service or have an accident or both, you know. Nothing Woody, what's up? Plenty of legal curb around here, 2050 Castro Avenue, DeSoto, Texas. I think a lot of it has to do with how you react and talk them on what you're getting. Yeah, that it's kind of interesting. I you know, when Harold would call a broker, we would be on a three-way, and I would just put myself on mute and I would listen to how he was talking to brokers. And it was a really good method, and you're actually trying to sell a service, just like they're trying to sell a service. And I think that they're not professional, that they show a lack of courtesy. Like, there was one that hung up on me, not because I said anything to make them mad, but because they knew the conversation was over, so there was no use, you know, just having it, you know. I was like, well, thank you for your time. If I change my mind, and then I was hung up on. So that is my biggest frustration is that if I'm being courteous and professional, I expect that back. And a large percent of brokers can be like that. But if they're stressed out, if they're emotional, if they're reactionary, it's the same thing. You know, if you're a broker that's trying to broker out 78 cent a mile load, guess what? You're probably pretty stressed. If you're not, you're an idiot, right? And you know, I think that there are a lot of people at Landstar and Schneider that kind of go through the same thing. Any self-dispatch system, it's a lot easier to say, you know what, I'm putting this thing in gear. Screw this. Screw it all. I'm going to take 3 days off and be done with this. And then next thing you know, the end of the month comes and you're behind on bills. Truck asks for money, and then you're screwed. And one of the things I'm working on personally with myself is being as calm as I can when I do cold calls on the off the load boards, and make calculated. I think patience is my biggest issue. I want to book something now. I want to book something within the first 5 phone calls, right? Or I want to book something now and not worry about what's on the other side of that load. That's kind of what happened with me in Dallas. I should have had a load booked or eyeballed from Dallas before I booked the load to Dallas. Reverse searches. I'm still kind of horrible at that. But I learned, right? There's a load, be a nice, good, long weekend run. Nice revenue, had I gotten the rate I wanted. And so I called my guy and said, hey, I'd be interested in this load to Phoenix if there's a load coming out with a decent rate. So he's like, well, let's do all the miles. What would you need? So I kind of gave him a number, and we, struggled a little bit and didn't get the number. Now the impatient side of me, the newbie side of me, wanted to just take that load to Phoenix because it was good instant money, right? I think that's why we all take loads to Florida, because it's good, fast money, especially in our system where we get paid after every load. But no, I was more calculated because I didn't find a load out. And I didn't want to deal with that. So a patient, calculated decision was made, and I still have a load book for tomorrow. So, Red Rum Trucker, what's up? You need to talk to broker as a business owner, right? And I do that, Bandit. But what annoys me is the brokers that don't do that. Fishing Trucker, what's up? Weekend runs keep you in the money. Yeah, it depends. That's the other thing. Is you really have to stage yourself in the right spot to do a good weekend run. You want to have hours on your clock, either, because face it, if you do a one-day run and get a 34, you're only going to get one day's enough revenue. They're not just going to pony up an extra $500 because it's a Saturday, So, some brokers have been known to do that. It's not commonplace. So they're looking for the people that are going to go home with that load or go through the house with that load. So if you want to run the weekend, I suggest doing a 1,000-mile load, 800 to 1,200-mile load. That way you're working all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You deliver Monday morning, you're good to go, and your revenue is kept steady. The only issue with that is that if you position yourself in Schneider guys, you can deal with this too. If you position yourself in the wrong part of the country, it's a lot harder to do that and get a good rate somewhere. So, or you're going to end up in a dead area. If you're in Pennsylvania, you can go to like Missouri or Arkansas or Oklahoma. If you're in Oklahoma, you're not going to get a good rate on a long mile run. So, it presents different challenges. But positioning yourself in a good spot on Friday, that's a key thing there as well. Burger's out. Burger's going to bed. Hope you get feeling better, Burger. So the beauty of living where I live, I can get through the house and still be under a weekend load, right? And still get a 34. So if you live off the beaten path, that's a little bit harder to do. So a lot of times, how successful you are at trucking, a lot of it depends on where you live, believe it or not. People think, well, it's trucking, you can live anywhere, right? That's not the case. The guy in Miami is going to have a tougher time of it than a guy who runs his authority out of St. Louis. That's a fact. And so different skill sets come in, different strengths have to be developed. But it's all rooted, it's all for nothing if you don't have emotional strength. So there you go. And see, and if there's some good loads coming out of New York, that's a good thing, man. So, because I know that the rates coming out of Arkansas are actually not bad. If you look at the DAT hot market map, Arkansas was actually red. So, anyways, if you guys got any comments, like someone left me a voicemail, I didn't really. Oh, okay, yeah. And after this video, be sure to check out Pale Rider TV's video if you haven't done that already. Because some people prefer the recorded video over my live BS. And I respect your opinions. I live between Milwaukee and Green Bay, and I got my pickup and everything. And I got my pickup everything. I don't know, I'm trying to explore different areas. So I've been doing a lot more research. I've been doing weeks without even looking at the DAT board or 123 low board. Weeks. Because the guy that I used was keeping me busy. And as long as I stay booked ahead, it's been okay. And that's the other gamble. If you want to book at the last minute, you have the ability to maybe get some money. That's kind of what happened to me today. However, the process is more frustrating because a lot of the loads that are left is the stuff that no one else wanted. And there was a reason. It's either because of the rate, the times. I really don't have a set goal of miles. Primarily because we're on percentage. I've always been on percentage. So I don't really look at the miles per se. As long as it's not over a certain amount per day, I'll book it. So like a 1,200 mile load in 2 days, where you pick up on Monday and deliver Wednesday morning early, I probably won't book that because that's 600 miles a day. And then you got to worry about what time to get you loaded. What do I average? I really don't know what my average miles are. I mean, I could bring up my computer and look, but it's under 2,000. So, but like the weeks where I stay out and I'm trying to get an extra weekend revenue, by not going home, those weeks can be as high as 2,800. So I'm usually somewhere between 1,800 and 2,800. Just depends. And then when you run full balls one week, then you're running off recaps, and so therefore you got less miles. So you got to be pickier about what loads you grab. And usually that the revenue is decent because you're grabbing higher rate per mile loads. If I got a chance, check out that book. Not the second one, no, Michael, I have not. Want to get my paperwork and you're still here, Snowler. Who do you think you are, Roscoe? I've only been online for 41 minutes. Jeez. Rather than answering the question anyone asks you, you always answer a question with a question, Robert. That's an interesting statement there. Why would you make that statement? There you go. Honestly, please just ask a follow-up question. It needs to be an open. Part of me says that maybe more YouTubers should put out videos of how to negotiate. But I think that would be a disservice, to be honest with you. And people are looking at me right now going, what are you talking about? If we show the brokers all of our tricks, that could work against us, right? So I think that the best sales training you could do is to look at sales in general. Read the book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Work on being a salesperson. Try some exercises, as far as sales go. And even maybe take a free online course or something, right? Because what I've noticed is that people that have a sales background do better out here. Gear Grabber says, good tactics, Robert. We use that method a lot in law enforcement. And everybody has their tricks. Like, obviously, Robert has his trick. And you know how, like, if something annoying goes on, and we just like for example, like, let's have a drinking game on how many times Steve says, right, in the live feed. And if you pay attention to that, me saying over and over subconsciously might be annoying. But if you look at it like, let's start a drinking game for every time Steve says, I just said it twice. Now your perception of that changes and you made a game of it. Well, I feel that, and now I'm careful not to say, I feel that if you can learn to enjoy the game, then the less frustrating it is. Now that might sound just like basic common sense, but there's a lot of people that don't recognize that fact. If you enjoy sales, you're going to be a good salesperson. If you enjoy talking to people, you're going to have better social skills than the person that doesn't. If you're the type of person that hates everybody and couldn't sell water to a thirsty guy in the desert, it makes it a lot harder to enjoy the game. So educate yourself and figure out the skill sets, but a lot of it's a mindset. Hey, you know what? I enjoy this game. If you like, I know some very successful people like Jeff, he loves numbers, because for the longest time I hated doing numbers. I hated keeping track of everything. I hated doing taxes. I hated all these different things, and my business suffered for that. So once I embraced the game and made it a little bit more of a game, then it became less challenging. I got the circle of death, and I'm scratching my eye. So let's see if we refresh. Well, there's the ad. So anyways, that's I think I'm gonna end the live feed here. There's a lot of nonsense in this live feed, I believe, but we've got the circle of death. Oh, now we're going now. So anyways, look at changing your perspective on things. If you find yourself frustrated, figure out why you're frustrated. And I guarantee you that your frustration lies in how you perceive things. It goes back to what I've always said. If you look at trucking as a curse, it's going to be a curse. If you look at it as a blessing, it's going to be a blessing. Either way, you're right. And there's a lot of different ways to change your perspective, and a lot of it's educational, and a lot of it's mental health, emotional health. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. If you haven't watched me, put an eye on them. Hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. And anyways, and if your perception is bad, hit the thumbs down. And either way, it acts as a interaction for me, which helps the channel grow. And as the channel grows, these live feeds become more fun, because I am a narcissistic a-hole. So thanks for watching, and talk to you later.